bad, man, I don't know. I was screaming Godspeed, then Geronimo. Now everything I see is covered in Java codes. Leave it to LC3 to interpret through these hottest lava flows. I'm in Hawaii, or back to the 90s. I do some J-Bob where the girls say I'm so Hawaii. In Vegas more than likely, no telling where I might be. But wherever I go, they say Larry does it nicely.
What's up, folks? Welcome to the Gamers Table podcast, formerly known as the Pastor J podcast. And if you don't know what we're talking about, just go back one episode and you'll get the rundown, at least a pretty brief rundown, but a rundown nonetheless of what's going on while we're changing brands and where we're headed and why we're doing it. So, but all that aside, this is going to be a podcast, man, we can't wait to do, all three of us. We're going to talk about our most exciting gaming experiences of 2023. But before we jump in, my name's Jake. Thanks for tuning in, and I got some friends with me.
Yeah, my name's Christian, also known as Druid Crafts, if you've seen me on stream or various things.
And I'm Joe. You'll probably see my name pop up as Toasty49.
Yeah, right on. Well, let's jump in it, man. This is going to be something, time flies when we're having fun talking about games.
Yeah.
So we're going to jump in and be a little bit of fast-paced here. We got a lot of games to talk about. We're not going to give you like reviews on them, but just wanted to share some things we experienced over 2023 as far as gaming is concerned, and what we're hoping to experience in 2024, because we are a bunch of nerds. So
yeah, it was pretty funny. Like after going through this list this morning, like we consumed a lot of content this year. Yeah. So
and then you ask some guys like us, hey, what can you not wait to play next year? And then it's just the list is so long,
Yeah.
But let's do this first. The three of us, man, if you guys know a little bit of our story, we game a lot. You might have seen some of us on Twitch, streaming live and that kind of thing. We love to game together. I think that's what really has even built our friendship and our relationship with some others, maybe some of you watching and listening. So let's talk about co-op games first.
Yeah.
So 2023 best gaming experiences as far as co-op games are concerned. What you guys got?
Man, there were some big ones. I just got to say out of the gate, Baldur's Gate 3, best game of the year.
Okay.
Consumed my life for a good little bit. Introduced us to some new types of gaming, I feel like.
Yeah.
It was, man, just so much fun.
But are you just saying that because it actually won Game of the Year, or was it really?
It hands down. So I'm a huge D&D nerd.
Okay.
I mean, my name, even my gamer tag, comes from that, and a lot of my really good friendships, a lot of things that I've done since I've moved to this area, and time spent, man, was on a table throwing dice, and having a digital version of that I could play with my friends and just kind of dive into this world was a ton of fun.
Yeah. Right on. I'll throw out Remnant 2. Might be a little bit off the radar for some people, but I kind of like that. It's cool. It's one of these moments are fun. You get to hear some, I don't know, just some kind of under the radar things and say, oh, I might give that one a shot.
Yeah.
So Remnant 2, did not play Remnant 1 other than for like half an hour kind of thing, but Remnant 2 seemed pretty cool. Three of us grabbed it, jumped into it, and we actually, I'll say this proudly, actually beat the game. All right?
Yep.
I am terrible at actually finishing games that I start, but we beat it and felt pretty good about putting a bow on that. At least I did. We could go back and play it some more if we wanted to. But it was a ton of fun, man. It was a good co-op experience for sure. It's probably one of my top of the year, no doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, but who finishes games anymore?
Not Baldur's Gate 3.
Well, we talked about that too.
Yeah.
So if you've played Baldur's Gate 3 or if you're interested, you definitely know you got to sink some time into it. And with all the games we play and the things that we're doing, it was hard. It is hard. We haven't beat it yet. Not even close. I mean, like Act 1, we're in Act 2 maybe? I mean, we're barely into the game.
Yeah.
But it was a good experience. I hope we get to pick it up and play it some more.
Yeah.
There was another one,
Definitely
Diablo 4.
Yeah, like that
Right.
one. That was awesome. I think it was kind of like hotly anticipated, like huge series, Diablo Blizzard.
Yeah.
And that was good. I think that was good. It definitely hasn't stuck around with us as much as like say some of the other games. Like we had a good first run with it.
Yeah. It's all, man. So being a pastor and then all three of us being believers in Jesus.
Yep.
Diablo 4 is one of those that like, it makes, I don't know, it's like, am I supposed to be doing this? Is this okay? Which that's another podcast for another day, but it was pretty cool. I enjoyed it. It was a good experience, good story, and My only problem, which I don't want to critique too much, was I feel like by the time you finish the game is trying to tell you you're only half done,
Yeah.
but you feel like you're done, you know. So it was really hard to keep going. But I think it was a good experience. I'll probably pick it up and play it again. You know, I've no doubt.
Yeah, it's a good example of a game like I feel like a year from now is going to have a ton of content to really keep our attention. And I think for us, Diablo kind of has a unique place in our friendship, and it's one of those games that
Yeah.
for the past decade that we've been friends, we've gone back to Diablo 3 and played countless times together just because it's enjoyable and like it's something
Yeah.
we can sink our time into. So I'm hopeful that Diablo 4 will kind of get to that place at some point in its lifespan.
And even Diablo 2, whenever they remade that, that was really great. And I say Diablo 4 is kind of a mixture, which I like Diablo 2 a little
Yeah.
better than Diablo 3. So it was cool for me to be able to do both of those kind of in one experience, which was neat. But all right, so yeah, co-op games, those definitely fit the bill for that. I would say this just before we transition to the next one. All three of those games, Remnant 2, Baldur's Gate 3, and Diablo 4, for me, I don't think the experience is nearly what it is unless you're playing it with people.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it was just it makes it like even today I could pick up Diablo 4 and probably play that game only if I'm playing with friends.
Yep.
But I could enjoy it like today if I'm playing with friends. That's true for all three of those games. Playing by myself, I would have no desire to do it. It would probably end in about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That session wouldn't go.
They were definitely all games that I would play a little bit solo. Whether it was like just go do a couple quests
Yeah.
or kind of work on some stuff. And every time I was doing that, all I felt was that like, man, I really can't wait till the guys get on and we can kind of dive into this together
Right.
again.
Yeah.
So
Which to me that's a big win, right? So if I
Yeah.
look back, that's what makes a co-op game for me. If I have a hard time playing it solo, but I love playing it with my friends, that's a win,
yeah,
which is pretty cool. So this is a pretty cool category. Highly anticipated sequels. So in 2023, there were certainly a slew of those, and even we could have went back and we could say, Diablo 4, Baldur's Gate, Remnant 2, like all those were sequels as well. But we just kind of felt like those were such heavy-handed co-op experiences. We want to have those kind of set to the side. But as far as sequels are concerned, over this past year, what'd you guys dive into? What'd you see?
Toasty, what about you?
Well, I'm just gonna jump into a really big one because it was also a Game of the Year contender. Didn't win it. Didn't win many awards. If you look elsewhere, it's won a few things. But Spider-Man 2, it's
Yes.
I'm just a little bit of a Marvel fanboy, so I was probably biased to begin with. But the first one was an awesome story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just great gameplay that really it felt dynamic. I probably haven't experienced anything like that. Probably nailed like that the way that Batman Arkham Asylum did.
Yep.
Like that was just such like a good melee gameplay, and I think Spider-Man nailed that. I think the story was awesome. It was a little bit of like their own unique twist on some familiar material because like the story behind like Spider-Man and his career, Dr. Octopus and how he comes to be, and kind of how they interact with the villains, with the city, with the characters. That just felt like such an interesting reinterpretation. It just kind of like kept you on your toes the entire time.
Spider-Man 1 or 2 that you're talking about? Spider-Man 2?
Well, that was Spider-Man 1. So Spider-Man 2 as a sequel to that just kind of it just kept that going.
Kept it going. Yeah.
Because first it redefined the Spider-Man versus Dr. Octopus relationship, and 2 just goes right into like keep it coming with the next ones. We see Kraven, we see Venom, and how it reinterprets all their relationships with each other. We see Miles Morales more, and kind of since he's had the spotlight over the last decade, and kind of developing his character for more people to see. It was just a lot of fun. They kept the powers going, the gadgets, the costumes, like so many costumes from so many other movies, comics,
Remember
things
that
like that.
from the first one, yeah. I only played the first one. I didn't get to play the sequel, so it's just. But that sounds like what makes a good sequel, right? And it's easy to have a good sequel when the first one's good, right? You can just follow if that's what happens. You can just follow what the first one did well. So that sounds like it was a success. So right on.
Yeah, Spider-Man was awesome. I mean, I'm a huge, like, specifically Spider-Man fan. If you've been on our website or even potentially our Instagram, you'll see I cosplayed at Spider-Man Comic-Con a couple years ago.
Yep.
And I think one of the things that really made this and a couple of the other ones we're about to talk about, the sequels weren't anything like Like, they didn't reinvent anything.
Yeah.
They just kind of built upon a really good foundation they already had. Like, the combat was pretty much the exact same as Spider-Man 1, just expanded a little bit. The gadgets were just expanded a little bit. And I really appreciate that in a game, because, like, I don't want to pick up a game, play the first one, they go to the sequel, and it's, like, completely changed. They've tried to, like, make it all fresh and new. Like, you had something good, like, keep it going.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that about that and a couple of the other here. Jedi Survivor was a big one for me.
Yeah.
I'm also a massive Star Wars nerd. That's one of my, like, absolute favorite things. And getting to really dive into, especially one of my favorite eras of Star Wars, the pre Empire, like building up to the original trilogy, getting to kind of just go in and see that world that we haven't really got to see before. You know, we got the movies, and they kind of are. The world building is just incredible. So the combat was fun, man. It was a good game. Some surprising twists here and there that I didn't expect. So it was definitely up there for me for great sequels this year.
Yeah, right on. I'm going to add Dead Island 2.
Yeah,
That was a fun time.
So something I started a couple of years ago, and I don't get to do as much now, is Black Friday, I'll go buy a game and then try to stay up all night and play it.
Yep.
And I did that with Dead Island 1. And it was probably like 7 years ago now. I don't remember. But it's been a long time. It's been certainly a highly anticipated sequel. I don't think just for me, but for many people. And
Yep.
finally came out, and sort of same on brand for what you guys are talking about. I feel like it had about a decade, or so to build upon whatever it was doing. But they did a good job, man. They didn't abandon, what made Dead Island good.
Yep.
The second one, I think, is just. I mean, I'm not even close to done with the game, but it's pretty great. I mean, it definitely gives you some comedic relief.
Yeah.
But it's just fun, man. They did a great job. It looks great. The details are fantastic. The combat, everything. It's what makes Dead Island fun, and it's co-op.
Yeah.
So that's even more fun. But that's definitely mine, hands down.
Well, we play so
Best
many
sequel.
games that we like our group kind of likes a game with a challenge. So we're the poor dudes that'll go into Dark Souls thinking we're all that, and then some get smacked around for 30 hours, or we'll grind out Apex for just to get a little bit further. It's great sometimes just have a game to go in that's just fun, man.
Yep.
Just to I can go in, I can just relax and just enjoy my time in Dead Island. Definitely ticks that box for me, I think.
Yeah, right on. All right, well, let's some honorable mentions real quick. Just some fighting games. I'll mention those real fast. We can probably move past these pretty quick. I think all three of us, we like fighting games, but we're not, too enthralled with them. But Mortal Kombat 1 came out last year. Street Fighter 6 came out last year. Probably other fighting games, but those two, I know at least me and you, Joe, we picked those up. I know you're not big of too much of a fighting fan. So
Terrible at it, man.
I'm not either, to be honest. So, if I say, hey, I want to play a fighting game, I don't actually mean a true fighting game.
Yep.
To the point, Mortal Kombat X, Mortal Kombat 10 came out a few years ago, and that was the first time I picked up a fighting game in a long time.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it because it was very beginner-friendly, very user-friendly. Injustice kept the same thing going, and so these two games did that. Street Fighter 6 actually has some very good, I would say, beginner-friendly, casual. Actually, even the control settings, you can change them to a modern setting that makes it easier to even play the game. But they look great. I don't know, Street Fighter, for me, growing up as a kid, watching my cousin play games and stuff, that was what I saw him play, and so it was kind of fun to jump into a little bit of that. But some good, some bad, whatever. But Street Fighter 6 had a kind of this open world campaign feel, story driven thing that was really interesting. You could just walk the streets, walk up to random strangers and punch them in the face and start fighting them. It was just so weird.
Little street fighting.
Straight up, that's what it was. People would come up to you and just kick you, in the back, and you start fighting them. It was very interesting.
Yep.
No doubt. Any word on the fighters? Or everybody good?
I'll just throw my 2 cents again. Fighting games aren't really my deal. I'm very, very bad at them, which kind of makes me not that and engaged with them. But I do appreciate the accessibility to some of the newer ones. We had a small group that we were doing, and one night, and it was like, it's all wrapped up. What we want to do? We're going to hang out for a little bit. Let's break out Street Fighter, and we got to watch this newly married couple play, and neither one of them have ever played a game like this, and they just watch them laugh and have fun and do goofy stuff. I appreciate that piece of games
right.
like that. You know.
It's some of the few games I mean, there's obviously some other very iconic. I mean, you got Smash Bros, you've got Mario Kart, stuff like that are great for, in the room, party moments. But a fighting game, a good fighting game is pretty good too. You just
Yeah.
throw the controller in two people's way, they grab them, have no idea what they're doing, start
It's
pressing
going.
buttons,
Yeah.
And I can appreciate that about these fighters because I know there's certainly some fighting games that just wouldn't work. To be
Yeah.
honest, you couldn't really do that with. But these are some, that you can really hand the controller to anybody, and they can have a good time. At least for a moment, it seems like. But
Yeah, accessibility is kind of a big deal. I just feel like kind of in modern games, like as much as we value the classics and the maybe there was some kind of like little gamer prestige cred with being able to like, oh hey, I handled the challenge of like this arcade game.
yeah,
Just
Mhm.
I think it's done a great job that in the modern day, like accessibility, like thinking about the controls, thinking about how people approach things has just opened it up to more people to
yeah,
enjoy. Because just at the end of the day, we're just trying to have some fun. We're just trying to enjoy a game,
yeah,
and there's nothing wrong with bringing more people into that, with
yeah,
allowing more people to have access to that.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Because those games do a great job. Thankfully, with the online community behind them and things, where you can really get paired up with people that are either in that mode or they're in the competitive mode, and so it's just really cool. So it's been fun to be a part of those games. A couple of solo adventures that
Mm.
we all three, in our different ways, we got to experience over 2023. I'll jump right in. I'm going to mention two of these. Metroid Prime, the remaster on Nintendo Switch, was pretty cool. I owned a GameCube for just a couple of months, and that was the only game that I truly played on it was Metroid
Wow.
Prime.
Yeah.
And I did not grow up with Nintendo. That's not because I was like anti Nintendo. I just didn't have one. I had a Sega Genesis and I had some other things. I didn't have that. So that was one of my first Nintendo experiences, truly.
Mm.
I had played, GoldenEye. I've played those things at friends' houses, but owning the console, had a GameCube, Metroid Prime. It was just a revolution for me. It was great.
Yeah.
So the remaster was pretty cool to be able to bring that, to myself now after 15 years or however long it's been. It's been a long time. 20
Wow.
years. I'm older than I think I am. So Metroid Prime remaster on the Switch, man, it was great. Dead Space remake.
Mm.
That's one. I know you guys know me well. If you're watching or listening, you probably don't know this, but I am terrible at finishing games. I just have a hard time finishing them.
Yeah.
So for me, like, if I finish a game, there was something good about it,
Yep.
And Dead Space, back in the day when I first played it, again, it was a revolutionary moment for me. For one, because I
Same.
beat the game, but secondly, I just never experienced a game that was a horror-centered game, but I wanted to play it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, you can call me, a chicken or whatever, but I just don't typically, like, I just, this isn't on the list for us, this is just free, but Resident Evil 7,
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I just finished that. It's been over a year now, but fantastic experience. But I just don't play many of those games.
Yep.
But Dead Space was just masterful. It was great. And so to see them completely remake it was
Yeah.
really cool. And they did it. It's a great experience, no doubt. So those are just solo experiences without, friends around me with me. Those are great.
Yeah. I know for me, Hogwarts Legacy. So I didn't personally play through much of it, but I got to watch my wife play it, and my wife's not much of a gamer. I mean, literally the first time she had actually played a video game was probably 3 or 4 years ago, and I sat her down like, you should play this. I think you would enjoy it, right? And to the point, like, she's like, I don't even really know how to like do the
Right.
controller.
What
I think
does
we
what?
take
Yeah.
we were talking about it earlier. We take for granted like the hand-eye coordination we've developed of like I've got to move with this thumb and I've got to look around with this thumb and push the spell with this thumb. But watching her, man, just like dive in and consume this game because she is a massive Harry Potter's her thing. Like
Yeah.
we had a Harry Potter Christmas tree just for her this year, like to put it in perspective.
Yep.
And so for someone who doesn't even really game, getting to watch her dive into the solo adventure and just get consumed with the world, man, and just enjoy it. That was a really cool thing for me to get to watch. And,
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Right on. Cool. How about you, Joe?
Let's see. I think kind of like a hybrid. I mean, there's like a tiny little bit of a co-op aspect, but just thinking off of that, There was that new Super Mario Brothers that came out, and it's got kind of like its mix. Like it's Mario had originally always been like single player, and then recently they've been adding co-op to these things, which just amounted to having extra people on the same screen, which just makes it more chaotic than anything.
Oh, man.
But
Sure.
that's always funny to watch.
Yeah.
But just similarly, it was something that my wife was interested in, so I got it just to run around with her and kind of like
Yeah.
just watch her as she attempts to take on some of like those challenges, get through the levels. And I don't know, but she was just like having such a fun time, and it was we just had a good time with it, and it was nice. It's even more a little bit accessible. They removed the time limit from it. It's just really easy to get lives back, so it's just more of just go at your own pace, just see all these wacky things, just all sorts of crazy things. There's an elephant power up, so now Mario turns into an elephant, and
Yes.
it's just
Like it.
more crazy than anything, but it's just a fun, like kind of little zany experience. We had the Mario movie, and so it's like kind of like a more like friendly experience, and that was just fun to kind of be able to watch her get into that and be in that with her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right on.
So
Sure.
that, but I guess something that would be a little bit more of a like personal for me solo experience. There wasn't really any big like folks will talk about like the Soulsborne genre, like From Software making like Dark Souls, Bloodborne, those big games. They didn't put out a new one this last year, but there were a few that were like inspired by sort of like that genre of challenge and whatnot. There was a game that came out, Lies of P. It like just the name sounds kind of weird.
Lies of
It's
P.
it's wacky, but it's probably one of like a few like Souls clones that came out this year that really stuck with me. Like I played through it just a little bit just to check it out because it was on the Xbox Game Pass, and I just couldn't put it down. It was just an interesting world, kind of like a industrial like. It's called Lies of P because it's a take on the story of Pinocchio. So
Yep,
just
I
like
gotcha.
just a boy coming to life. Well, but this one just has robots destroying the city everywhere. So
Yeah, like any good childhood story, right?
and so it's got kind of like that dark fantasy to it, but it's got that challenge for the folks that are interested in that challenge. But this one also, it was interesting because over the course of the year, like they made updates to the game where it's okay, like we're gonna reduce everybody's health by like this percentage, or we're gonna up your attack by this percentage, like being open to making it a little bit more accessible than some of the more hardcore like jumping into Dark Souls, and
Yeah.
it feels like you're controlling a tank just walking around, and like half the time you're fighting the controls as much as everything that's fighting you.
Yeah.
And this one felt a bit more fluid, a bit more. I don't think whimsical is the right word, but it was just. I mean, again, just like robots, Pinocchio, like it's like Dark Souls is like fantasy. Grab a giant sword, fight a giant skeleton. This one is like, oh, I found this wrench and I'm gonna beat up this doll, and it's like, what's going on?
It's a little different. Yeah.
It was interesting and it was a fun time. And
Well, cool.
I enjoyed it.
Right on. Right on. Makes me kind of want to play it, to be honest.
Yeah.
All right, we got to definitely talk about this. I wouldn't say
Yeah.
these are 2023 specifics, but to be clear too, we're not only talking about games that released in 2023. Some of these are just games that maybe we picked up in 2023 and
Yep.
began to play. Maybe more than we had before, maybe for the first time, that kind of thing. But some of those are the shooters. All right, the first-person shooters. Man, if you're a gamer listening to this and you don't play first-person shooters, I'm not going to call you a not real gamer, but it's a rare thing to find people that don't play these games.
Yeah.
It is very rare. So I'm just going to list them off and then we can talk about them. But here's some that I know the three of us played at some degree or another. Apex Legends, The Finals, that's a new one you may not have heard about if you're listening or watching. Check it out, The Finals, and then Call of Duty. You may not have heard of that game either. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. Modern Warfare 3 came out last year, also known as Modern Warfare 2 .0. And then Fortnite as well, unless you've been living under a rock. You probably have heard of most of those games. I just wanted to mention these because... I mean, gosh, if I pulled up my PlayStation right now and showed you guys the amount of time that I've spent, because it keeps track of that, eerily so,
Yep.
the amount of time I've spent in these games, it'd be hard for me to talk about my best gaming experiences of 2023 and leave out a game that I played more than any other game. So for me, it was Apex Legends. I played that more than anything.
Yep.
Shout out to my friend Tyler. He bugged me for years to play that game. I tried it. The Battle Royale scene just wasn't for me. I couldn't get into it. And then I finally just stuck with it. So for about a year and a couple of months, I've been playing Apex pretty consistently. It's been frustrating, certainly. Any competitive moment is frustrating for a person that is competitive, which is certainly me. Can be frustrating, but it's been fun. I mean, it's another co-op experience. I cannot stand playing it by myself, but with friends, it's pretty great. We get to scream at each other and yell at each other and, wonder why each other is bad at the game. And then we get to have successes and we get to have wins and, throw out the champagne bottles and all this stuff. It feels like, so Apex was fun.
Yeah.
Fun for me.
I think for me, Apex, I mean, so many of these games, right? There's such a degree of people that play them. I mean, you got people like us that we casually play it, a couple hours a night or whatever. All the way, this is people what they do for a living, is
that's true.
completely do nothing but that, right? So there's this massive span. But what I really appreciate about these games is, number one, it's something that you can just jump in and to whatever degree, whether we're gonna have a really bad night of playing or we're gonna have a great night of playing, like that reward for it is pretty instantaneous, right? Versus like a Baldur's Gate game like that I love, where
That's true.
I'm gonna have to dive in for 60 to 100 hours to really get that, like, I finished this thing. But more than that, I mean, it's been a really cool tool to connect with new people. We have a friend that goes to our church and never would have thought he would be a gamer, right? And Apex was the thing that we do, and now he joins in with us, right? We get to play together and we get to hang out, and just a unique. If you listen to the previous episode, you heard us probably talk about some of this, like how really gaming is such a unique way to connect with people.
Yeah, that's right.
So even something probably as standard
Infuriating. Sorry.
Well, so say
Sorry.
like
My bad.
infuriating and as cliche. I get it, man. People are like Fortnite, Apex, whatever, but I think it brings a unique piece to the table that wasn't there before games like that existed.
Yeah.
So
No doubt. Yeah. How much you, Joe?
I'll say yeah. With the shooters, you have that. You have your staples that have just kind of been around forever. I mean, like we've joked about it. Like it's not many people know that Call of Duty has had a new game out every single year since what is it, 2009, 2010.
So for
since we were in school.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know what Call of Duty is, let me introduce you to the year 1998. It is taking the world by storm. It seems like. But that's something too. All joking aside, that there is a new release of a Call of Duty every year. That's just kind of become a thing. And I know, speaking for me, and I think probably for you guys, we don't grab the new Call of Duty every year, so we kind of wait a couple of years, grab one, see what it's like. So we didn't really land on that frustration that some people did with feeling like you're getting the same game, you got the year before, and that because it'd been a few years for us, So it's been a fun experience. The zombie mode, something I know I look forward to in that game. I will say I don't believe it's really quite the same. As in fun, same zombie experience that I can just buy Call of Duty to have that experience. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Because if I get online and just playing, the shooter games, the team death matches and all that, those aren't bad. They're pretty easy to pick up, play, that kind of stuff. But, to your point, I don't play it enough, really, for me to even be worth shooting, as you might say, in the game. But it was fun.
Yeah.
But anyways, Jake, I was wondering, because this year you tried out Fortnite for
I was
the first
literally
time.
about to do this.
Yeah, so let me tell you, there's this game called Fortnite that is not in my most anticipated experiences. It's not in my top. No. So Fortnite, again, the Battle Royale thing for me, I just did not want to do it. I tried it, didn't enjoy it. I tried Fortnite, a game or two, didn't like it. Apex, a game or two, didn't like it. Call of Duty Warzone, didn't like it, Apex kind of got me eventually, so I enjoyed it. And then I'm like, all right, I will try Fortnite. But here was the thing. This is what got me, all right? They had a Michael Myers skin that you could put on your character. And judge me all you want. If you're watching, if you're listening, you can take your judgment elsewhere. It's fine. But I'm a Michael Myers fan. Yes, I love Jesus more than Michael Myers and anyone listening. But I'm a Michael Myers fan. All right. I have an autographed Michael Myers Funko Pop. All right,
So
I'm
you've
a
got
fan.
a Mike Myers Funko Pop
Yeah,
just over your shoulder here.
he's right behind me here, so I'm a fan for sure. So I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. Battle Royale's okay. I jump into Fortnite, and I tried it, man. I really did. But it's just, I don't know. It didn't do it for me. It's just,
Yeah.
it's not my thing. It was too slow. I don't know what it was. It's just so different than Apex. And I really, truly enjoy Apex, and Call of Duty and Fortnite. Just going to have to stay in the dust where it's at.
Well, and I think it highlights that, even within all these massive subgenres that we have, it's like battle royales, right? Even within that, there's some uniqueness to it. The finals was new on the scene this year. Prime example of like same kind of battle royale, whatever type style co-op shooter, but kind of brought some freshness to the scene. That was fun. We've had a good time checking it out, trying it a little bit new.
Kind of taps into that. I think all three of us are pretty big Battlefield fans.
Yep.
We actually just talked even today that we need to revisit the one that came out a couple of years ago. And part of those, the realism of those games are fun. I'm careful to say realism, right, of a video game, but the realism is pretty fun. The destructibility of everything around you is fun. The finals brought some of that in.
Yeah.
It was kind of neat, just a real good free-to-play game. Pick it up, play it a little bit. And oddly enough, I'll say, just for me, that's the most stressful game that I play, which is so weird, right?
Really?
Isn't that
Okay.
strange?
Yeah.
The finals, for whatever reason, I feel like I am so anxious and stressed when I'm playing that game.
All right.
Even compared to Apex, compared to, Souls games, it's just weird. I feel like the pressure is so intense, for the finals for me. So that's why I've struggled every time, maybe Joe's mentioned, hey, let's play the finals. I'm like, my heart can't take it today. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
which is and that's good. We all have our preferences, our takes, and
Right.
based on things. It's funny because that's the exact opposite.
I know.
for me, because like the finals, it's all like game show themed. Like there's confetti, balloons everywhere,
coins,
just
just
like goo, coins,
Mhm.
and so I'm just like, yeah, like this is probably like the Fortnite version of a serious shooter.
Yeah.
So I'm just like running around, just popping things, having a good time. Like even if I die, maybe that's why somebody's feeling a little stressed
So-
with what's going on.
so-
Maybe.
I think right now we are having a moment, breakthrough moment happening right now, because what everyone just witnessed is the difference between me and Joe. I am over here. I'm the competitive. I'm trying to win the game, and I'm like, where's Joe? Where's Joe? Where's Joe? Oh, where's Joe? Oh, where's right? So maybe that's a part of why my heart can't take those games. I don't know.
Oh, maybe try it with a different squad. You
One-
know what happens.
One day we'll share the Division story with all you guys on podcast.
Welcome to the dynamic of our friendship.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. All right, well let's do this as we begin to wrap up our time. This will be pretty fast, probably. We'll lump this together actually. So lightning round at the end. Games we cannot wait to play. And so again, to be clear, we're not just saying games that are going to release.
Yeah.
But although some of these haven't released yet, but some of them might be just stuff that we know are out there. We haven't played it yet, right? So things we can't wait to play, and things that we hope we never play again. Right, disappointments of the year, right? So things we can't wait to play, and then big disappointments. So let's not end on the disappointments. Let's go there first.
Yeah.
Disappointments of the year. Go.
Payday 3.
Yeah.
It's I'm a fan of the series, and this one didn't quite hit the mark when it landed.
Yeah.
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 No,
Excited
that's-
for it. It hit, and then quickly move on. Right.
Another one of those a year from now. It's probably gonna be great.
Just like come back to it later. Right. Yeah. Okay. What else?
I gotta say, for me, man, Destiny 2 Lightfall. I'm a big Destiny fan. It's one of my most enjoyed playing experiences. And after the DLC before that was so good, it was so enthralling. This past one, man, was just so disappointing, to the point I haven't played it in probably 6 months.
Yeah.
So
For me, you might turn off the podcast when I say this. And if you do, it's fine. You already listened to most of it, so it's all right. So I just wrapped up just a couple of weeks ago, so I'm definitely late to the party here. But Pokemon Scarlet, I'll speak for Scarlet. I know Violet, it's basically the same game. But Pokemon Scarlet, I just finished it. And to be honest, it was a big disappointment for me. Now, I think I bring something good to the table with this because I'm not a massive Pokemon fanboy, although I've played every game. But I'm not like a huge fanboy. I don't geek out on it. I text you guys all the time, like, hey, what's a good, team comp and all this different stuff. I don't know it that well. but I do play them all, and I've always enjoyed the games,
Mm-hmm.
always. And this game, a couple of reasons, I guess, why, but just long story short, it was more frustrating than it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
And Pokemon games have always just been sheer fun for me.
Yep.
I've had a hard time being frustrated playing that game, and I'm competitive. I want to do the best I can, but that one, man, it just dragged on. You
Yep.
know, I'm like, man, am I done yet? Nope. Am I done yet? Nope. And it was way more challenging than it should have been. So that was a bummer for me.
You know, and I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum as far as like being a Pokemon fan. It is
Yeah.
my favorite like gaming. I mean, I literally have a Pokemon Red right here. You know, like it is.
Things get boring. You just
It
get
has always been my favorite like series. I've played all of them. I've owned all of them. But I'm in the same boat, man. It was by the end, you know, because it just really wrapped up. The last DLC for the
Yep.
game just came out a week or so ago, maybe two. And man, after playing something like Tears of the Kingdom, right?
Yeah.
And seeing what can be done on a handheld console nowadays,
Yeah.
and then playing that, it just left me disappointed.
Yeah.
So,
That's fair. And I'll mention this, and we'll move on to fun things.
yeah.
We almost forgot to mention this one because it was so bad. Starfield.
Yeah.
So
I forgot about it.
We legit we were like listing off like what are games that came out this last year, and then like we were moving on to talk about something else. Like, oh wait, I was reading a list and
Yeah.
I was like, Starfield came out this year. Like,
yeah. And we all to different degrees, but I think all three of us enjoy Bethesda. We enjoy the Fallout games. We've enjoyed Elder Scrolls and all these things.
Yep.
And this was a great concept, cool take on it. I could probably pull it up today and play it, and I wouldn't have a miserable time. But it definitely did not pull me in to where I felt like I couldn't leave it. And that's what most of the other games do.
it's missing the heart. I mean, I'm the guy I have bought Skyrim on everything but
Yep.
a Samsung fridge kind of deal.
Yeah.
It was missing the heart of what made those games so enthralling that even draws me back to them today.
Sure, yeah.
Decade
Oh, yeah.
later. I'm hopeful that maybe in the future that changes. But yeah.
All right, so let's keep the fast pace going here. Can't wait to play. What you got?
I know I just bashed it, but new Pokemon game. I mean,
Well, that's to the
yeah,
point, though, right? You
know.
had a bad experience. Hopeful for the next one.
It's kind of we're talking about like the Call of Duty pattern, right? Like there's like an expected thing.
Yep.
Pokemon has the same kind of pattern. It's a year of remakes, so we should be getting Gen 5 remakes,
Yeah.
which was I enjoyed those when I was in high school, so I'm looking forward to that.
I hope. I'm playing it right now. I haven't beat it yet. Pokemon Arceus.
Oh man, I would love a new Legends game.
It was so good.
So good. So
It's
good.
the best thing
so
they've
good.
done in a while.
So good.
Hands down.
For me, Fire Emblem Engage. It might be a little bit curveball, but Fire Emblem Three Houses. Just, man, who I am. Again, I have a hard time beating games. I played that game through to completion, and I just loved the style. And Fire Emblem Engage is the same style game.
Yeah.
Pretty unique, and so I'm pretty excited to play that.
I'd say probably, yeah. A big one that I'm looking at is the remake of Persona 3, Persona 3 Reload.
Yeah.
It's just one of my favorite series. That one 3 was my favorite one in the series, and so to see a remake of it, I'm just like fascinated to see the new coat of paint, if they do anything with the characters and story. Just always been a fan of the characters, the story. It's a little dark. The personas are sketchy and fascinating. I don't know, but I like that
It's
stuff.
your cup of tea, yeah.
Yeah.
And that comes out in a couple weeks, right?
Yeah, just a few weeks from at least
from
from when
now.
we're recording this. Yeah.
Yeah. Right on. Another curveball, a game called Foam Masters. Foam Stars, sorry. Foam Stars. It's a free-to-play game on PlayStation. If you've ever played or heard of Splatoon, that's on Nintendo, it's basically like that, just not using paint, using soap and suds instead.
That sounds
It's going to
like
be
fun.
silly, totally like I'll be playing Apex, grinding it out, screaming at people, trying to win the game, blood, sweat, and tears,
Yep.
and then go to Foam Stars and a totally different experience. But I'm excited to play. That'd be fun. Some 4v4 action, just again free to play, get to chill, and have some fun.
Yeah.
I'm ready for that.
All right. Huge game of the year: Mario versus Donkey Kong. Like in all
Because-
honesty. No, like
Yeah.
it's a fun game. It was a fun game. The first one on the Game Boy, it was just like a puzzle platformer. Like it's got like
Yeah.
a Lemmings thing going on, so it's different. It's more of a thinker. It's more of a distinguished man's Mario. But
It's very distinguished game.
As opposed to Elephant Suit Mario. Right?
You have a who doesn't like to see plumbers and apes fight each other, right?
Yeah, right.
It's gonna be great.
It'll set up Godzilla and Kong later this year.
Yeah, right. Just getting ready.
And I'm just a glutton for punishment. Destiny 2 Final Shape. Because I know what good storytelling and gameplay Destiny can do,
Yeah.
I have high hopes that the finale of this story they've done for the last decade is going to be good.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward
Right
to
on.
it.
Right on. All right. Any last honorable mentions? Anything we want to throw out before we're done?
I think that hits all the boxes for me.
Pretty good. Yeah.
I think it's
There's a lot. Plenty more to come. We played plenty of games, over the last year or two.
Yeah.
Some games we played last year, I was thinking, like Midnight Suns, or some games that they didn't come out in 2023, came out in 22. I played them a good bit, in 22 and 23. There's plenty of great games out there. But if you're listening, watching, we hope that this might have enticed you a little bit to, try a few games we tried. Some of the co-op experiences, some of the single player, whatever it might be. Give them a shot, and if you ever want to find us, you certainly can find us online. We'd love to play with you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, hope you enjoyed the podcast. One of the first of many, I believe, of the Gamers Table podcast. Yeah. And man, we love the game. We love to compete. We love to do it together, and sometimes get angry at each other. It's okay. Encourage each other along the way, but we're going to keep gaming and see what's coming up in 2024.
Right on.
So, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.